What's up everyone? Fritz here again with another episode of Sneakerhead Ambition, and today I'm going to be covering a topic that has gotten a lot of discussion, a lot of attention over the past several days since the Yeezy slide drop, and that's going to be discussing the instance wars. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to get into it obviously throughout this video, but this isn't my live cut from the slides. I've been slacking a little bit. I will get that up tomorrow, but I just wanted to put a statement out kind of discussing this and just giving my vantage point on it and how I see things from my perspective. So if you're unaware of what happened, basically this past Monday during the Yeezy slides drop, there was a massive amount of traffic on the YeezySupply site. Now that, from some estimates that I've heard, was about 5 to 10 times the amount of traffic that they usually get during a hype drop. Now, you might say, where did that come from, or why is that a big deal? Basically, there are people that I know within the space that were running 100 copies of a bot, right? 100 instances of a bot. If you think that sounds crazy, I promise you that there were plenty of people doing it, and if there were plenty of people doing that, there were definitely even more people doing, 10 to 50 instances. So the traffic that was generated was a lot more than usual, and that is basically because as of late, people have been getting more instances and running more tasks, right, and running more copies of the bots. So I'll be honest with you, during this video, I'm not gonna give an opinion on whether or not I think that this is a good thing or what's going on, because quite frankly, if I'm being honest with you, I really don't know how I feel about this. I'm gonna get into the full story. I'm gonna go over how we got here, the build up to it, the options from here. I'm gonna go over the entire build up to the story and everything. But just before I get into that, I really don't know how I feel about this. I can see both sides of the coin. I've heard debates from people that think instances should be limited completely, no extras for anyone. People that think that there should be unlimited instances. Believe me, I feel for both sides on this debate. I think that both sides have valid points, and I think that it will be interesting to watch play out over the coming weeks and months. But as of right now, just due to the way the space is and that there are no regulations, there's nothing in this space, there's no rules. There really are no rules. So right? Like it is very hard for me to give you a clear-cut position on this because, like I said, I do have to watch this play out. And just reiterating, I think that there are valid points on both sides. One other thing I'm going to mention real quick is just the fact that I'm not going to say the names of any bots or devs or anything like that during this video. There are several reasons for that. One, I just don't think that that's helpful to anyone, or there doesn't need to be any more information out there about this, right? The public, everybody knows, man, once something's on Twitter, Instagram, like the record is out there, it's already happened. But I'm not gonna say the names of devs or anybody like that because there's been cartel talk. It's out there. But with that being said, I'm not gonna say the names of bots and devs, like I said, not helpful. And also the fact that I think that the instance thing started off with good intentions. I really do think that the bot devs were just trying to help out, right? Customers wanted more instances. An extra instance definitely helps. 1 becomes 2, 2 goes to 5, 5 goes to 10, 50, 100, and it quickly got out of hand. But I do think that devs were trying to help out and do the right thing initially, but sometimes things get out of hand quickly, and that definitely happened in this case. Anyways, I'll get into the full story now. So just starting off, right? About a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, bots started to add a second instance. Now, if you don't know what an instance is, it's basically a second copy of the bot. So if I had a bot that has 2 instances, I could put one on my PC, I could put one on a server, I could put one on my server, put them on a second server. I have some flexibility. It allows me to run more tasks, right? So I have 2 copies, I can run more tasks. It allows me to possibly run 2 different sites, right? So I could focus on Foots on one, YeezySupply on the other, Foots, Shopify. Again, gives you flexibility, and it also allows you to possibly rent one out if you're not using it, which again, gives you more flexibility. So around a year ago, right, it was very unusual to find a bot that had 2 instances. I think that Mech might have been the first one to do it. Don't quote me on that. That really is just off the top of my head. I should have done research on that, but I'm pretty sure they were the first one to do it. I remember hearing about it and being like, that's pretty cool, great idea. So around that time, that started to happen, and that picked up as we went through 2021. More and more sites started to add, or more and more bots started to add that. Now, around this past Christmas, so around November, December, right? So it's been about 6 months since then, right? The second instance thing has been the cat's been out of the bag, right? One company or two. So again, there were some macro and microeconomic factors, right? botting has become more difficult. NFTs were a big thing. Stimulus stopped, right? A lot of things went on, but basically a lot of people left the botting ecosystem, right? To do other things, to get a real job, right? To go back, whatever the case may be, a lot of people left, okay? So what happened to bot prices? They tanked, right? They are down more than 50% from where they were this time last year and definitely from earlier last year. But those prices tanked. Now, when that happened, right? And this is within the business realm, right? This is smart. What did bots start doing? They started to add monthly keys. So within big groups, group buys, they would do monthly keys, right? That keeps people from buying the bot, right? They're not putting out a bunch of keys, but they're giving, people a chance to get a key for a month, pay a premium. I think it's about $200, and you get a valid key that's got 2 instances, okay? So other bots started doing that, right? Valor wasn't the first, right? But like several bots started to do more and more group buys, right? And then at this point, if a bot has 2 instances, the group buy is really for 2 copies of the bot, right? So as you can see, right, first we started to have more instances, right? So first we doubled the task count in the past year from going from 1 instance to 2. And then we're starting to add the monthlies. Now, around the end of last year, or earlier this year, I would say, I think really earlier this year, then we bumped not monthlies anymore to weeklies that also had an instance or 2. And then we started to do, you can add extra instances up to 10 or unlimited, even on these monthlies or weeklies. And again, that's not with all bots, but a lot of bots had gone to, you can get, if you're clever enough, right? If you've got multiple Discords, you're in multiple cook groups, it's really easy to get access to a bunch of these, or it was as of this past Monday, right? So that was the buildup. We started with 1 instance pretty much for every bot, went to 2, went to monthlies, went to weeklies, went to 1 instance, went to multiple, went to unlimited. So again, I'm just trying to give you kind of a timeline of how this picked up over time. And it really accelerated a lot over the past month, but this isn't something that happened overnight. This has kind of been a slippery slope that we've gotten to over time. Now again, I'm not saying that there were a couple people running 10 instances. There were a lot of people running 100 instances. Now you've also got to think too, that when the big dogs do that, right? Everybody else kind of has to up their setup as well. So again, I'm not complaining about that, right? That's fair game. This is capitalism, full contact sport. I'm down, right? I'm gonna do what I have to win, all good. But it is very important to point out, right, that I saw people who have maybe not even hit 50 total shoes in their career, spending a lot of money on their set, like a lot of money on their setup. And again, this is because when you see what everybody's doing just to compete, you've got to up the ante. So this isn't, like I'm not complaining, as you'll see, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just pointing out that these setups have started to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't matter who you are, it's affecting you. Now I'm going to talk about the kind of 2 sides of this coin and who's affected the most by more instances, who's affected the most by less instances. And again, I just want to mention that like botting has never been fair. I've heard a lot that this isn't fair, that's not fair. Dude, it's never going to be fair, right? People with more money, more connections, more resources are always going to do better. Maybe the top couple percent isn't hitting 1,000 pairs with unlimited instances, but they're hitting 500 with a limit, right? It's always going to be unfair. So now I'm going to go over how I see it from each side and just who I see benefiting more, whichever direction this thing goes. So going over who's going to benefit from these situations more, we've got on the one hand, if we have more instances, unlimited instances, the more this thing goes that way, or the more that this botting, or the more that bots go in that direction, the people that are going to be helped out the most are people who are experienced in botting. There's no way around this, right? Extra instances do not help beginners whatsoever. And it makes it harder on people who aren't skilled to hit. I'm not saying if that's good or bad. I'm just laying this out, right? I benefit way more than a beginner from an extra instance. The better you are at botting, the more you benefit from extra instances, right? There's just no way around that. It's not helpful when you are starting out to overburden yourself. You're better off with one anyway. So it is clear who benefits more from extra instances. Now, I'm okay with that to some extent because I've put in weeks of my life on an hourly basis, right, to learn this. people who are in the top 5 to 10%, I'd say I'm in the top 10% of botters. I'm not in the top 1%. Those people are putting in hours and like a lot of time to get to the point where they can use those instances. So I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but for me, when I was hearing people say it's better for the community, it's not better for the community. It's better for people who can use them, right? That's not saying it's bad for the community, but it's not helping beginners. So to think that all these instances are helping beginners isn't, to me, doesn't make sense, if you hear what I'm saying. Now, one of the things they say intelligent people can do, right, is to hold kind of contradicting beliefs in your mind that can be true at the same time. Now, having less copies of bots on the market, right, because there's less instances, definitely makes it harder on newcomers to get a new bot. But I do think that it's better for just the general botter, if there's less instances, because there's less traffic and they then have to spend less on their setups, right? Spending $1,000, $500 on proxies as a relatively new botter, to me, like, I remember not that long ago going through that, but that wasn't the case 3 or 4 years ago. I remember 3 or 4 years ago when I started off, it took me like a year and a half to really own any bots, right? I was renting Cyber, Kodive, Wrath, Polaris, Splash, right? I was renting a lot of bots, and it took me a year and a half to get any of them, right? I had to just eat those costs over time. So for me, right, it's better for the general botter. Again, this is not to say that this is what I think should happen, right? I think it's somewhere in the middle per usual, but it really, the more expensive the setups get and the more instances you need, the harder it is for anybody to start off and have success. It just makes it way harder. If people are running 100 instances and you're running one with a couple residential tasks, it gets less and less likely that you're going to hit, right? So again, I'm just trying to lay out the scene for you. I think it is clear who benefits more. Again, if we've got more instances, I think it's clear who benefits. If we've got less, I think it's clear who benefits. Now, in both scenarios, the top cookers who are hitting 1,000 pairs, they're still going to hit hundreds of pairs, right? If you think that cutting this instant thing off is going to stop the people who really want to make some money from doing it, you're wrong, right? I'm going to buy more copies of bots. Other people are going to do it. So limiting the instances isn't going to change that. It's just going to shift where people are investing their money, the odds of their success, and how massive that success is. And again, I just want to reiterate, right? Like, I fully understand how hard it is to start off with not knowing anything in this game, right? Losing money, barely making money, breaking even, having a big month, right? It's not easy. I'm at the point now where I do make plenty of money doing it, but that does not mean that getting to that point where you can sustain it is easy or even as easy as it was, right? I don't think there is any debate that it is harder to get into this now. So again, I'm not trying to say that these should or should not be limited. Like I said, the truth is somewhere in the middle. But I do also want to point out that it is getting harder and harder to enter because the complexity is continuing to ramp up. This too is really going to be difficult to police because hardly anybody in this community, right? 99.9% of people in this community are not privy to what is going on behind closed doors with all of these bots. Now, in regards to prices, right? If the instances do become limited, right? And that really does stick, bot prices should go up, right? If you have less copies and less instances per drop, that means that each copy, right? Each instance is a larger percentage of the total running. So that should increase prices. Now, if that happens as well, right, I would also think that proxy prices would increase, right, because they'd be selling less, meaning that they couldn't get as big a bulk orders. So there are some price fluctuations that could happen, right? I do not know to what extent these will happen, but again, just trying to give you info on the situation. So if they do continue to limit them, I would expect bot prices to go up as well as proxy prices. Will there be big hitters who are hitting 500 pairs, 1,000 pairs, no matter what happens? Yes. If you can't hit a single pair now, does it matter what happens? No. The people in this space who really work hard and really want it and put in the time, they're gonna succeed either way. So this isn't gonna affect the top percent that are gonna put in the work regardless, but this could throw a lot of people off. Again, if they'd be getting monthly, weeklies, and those get stopped, that definitely could affect them. And like I said, I really am trying to provide you just an unbiased opinion. I know that there's no such thing as that, right? Everybody has some level of bias, but I do want to make it clear that I'm really not complaining and just laying out the info. If they limit the instances, great. I own my bots, no big deal. If they don't, I've got the connections and in the groups that I know I can get those extra instances. So it's whatever to me, right? I really am trying to remain somewhat objective and just neutral on this. So just trying to lay out the info for you. In an unregulated space as this, right, I just want to articulate that it is really difficult to know how this is going to play out or how companies are going to react because there's no rules, there's no guidelines, right? That's going to make it difficult because there's not that much transparency between bots, checkouts, instance count, task count. It makes it really, really hard to nail down what's happening, who's following the rules, whatever those are, right? It's just a really difficult area to enforce any of this in. So just throwing that out there as we move forward. I'll let you draw your own conclusions from this. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section, debates on it, what your opinion is, how this affects you, which you think is the right way, whether or not bot devs will stick to it. But I do want to hear from y'all because I know that this affects everyone differently. I've really tried to think about this from the perspective of me when I was starting out. I tried to think about the perspective from where I'm trying to get in this game and just where I am now. I'm going to make it work either way, right? Again, not a complaint. I don't want y'all hearing parts of this and thinking he's saying it should be this or that. I don't know. And anybody who tells you a simple answer on this isn't thinking through the full ramifications of everything. I apologize that I have not gotten the live cop up yet from the Yeezy slides this past Monday. Almost finishing the video. I will get that up tomorrow, so check back for that. But I really just wanted to get a statement out just discussing this because I know this is a hot topic within the community. And I just kind of wanted to lay out what happened and I wanted to, again, just provide a balanced view on something without getting too emotional. And I do think, like I said, that both sides, I think, are a little extreme, right? I think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and most bots have said they're going to limit it to 1 or 2 instances. So I think that that's a good approach for now. We'll see where it goes from here. As always, a massive thank you and shout out to my sponsors. If you are in need of any proxies, Gmails, servers, FLX accounts, I have information, discount codes, and Discord links in the information section below. And all of those companies are very reputable. I've used them all even before I was working with them. So check that out if you need anything. That's all for today's video. So check back tomorrow and feel free to follow me on Instagram or Twitter where I do post daily. And just today I started a TikTok. So we'll see how that goes. But check back tomorrow. I should have the live cop up from the Yeezy slides from this past Monday up. And until next time, see ya.